Realized that wasn't a stellar intro. However, my computer wasn't really working well, so I put some of that music straight from my iPhone, and it was Bon Jovi, if you were wondering. And remember, I'm the child of the 70s and the 80s, so no gangster rap. I apologize. So in this brief installment, I'm going to introduce to you some content from Chapter 18. This is a shorter segment. This is on if you've had trouble reading and you've read this section and you're like, what the heck should I know about this? So this is the economic expansion and social change. And this episode, we're going to go over the population explosion. Now, with the population explosion, as you look at this slide, holy cow. All right, this is a lot. This is the AP curriculum framework that actually comes from 18.3. So it's kind of important for you guys to understand some of these contents, this content area. So what does this all mean right here? With this, it means that the College Board thinks this particular section is extremely important and extremely historically sexy. All right, so you may ask, what is sexy about economic and social change? And believe me, I get it, but you got to stay tuned. And the next few episodes, if you watch them, if you don't, that's fine too. But if you do stay tuned and watch, you'll come to the right place. You've come to the right place. We're going to bring sexy back with the 18th century economic and social change. The first thing you need to understand in the 18th century is that there was an extreme period of economic recovery that Europe went through after the decline that existed in the 17th century. If you remember, prior to the 1700, population had been increasingly going down consistently. First of all, you had more and more famine, you had disease and warfare. If you remember the religious wars that we learned about just all over the place in Spain and France, in Germany or the Holy Roman Empire as well, and 30 Years' War, it kept the population growth in check. And it really wasn't until the mid-16th century that Europeans' population actually reached pre-Black Death levels, from the early 1300s. So in this period, we're going to see rapid population growth. We're going to see some things that result in that later on economically, like the expansion in banking and trade, the beginnings of the Industrial Revolution, and coincidentally, increase in worldwide trade, and unfortunately, slavery as well. So how big was this population explosion? Well, between 17 and 1800, the European population increased from about 120 million to about 190 million people. And as you can kind of see here, you've got Russia went from 14 to 28 million, France 20 to 27, Spain 6 to 10, Prussia 1.5 to 5.5 million, and Britain 5 to 9 million. You don't need to know all of those, but as you can see, it's like pow. It's an explosion. So what were some of the causes of this population increase? Well, as you can kind of see here, there's a list from the textbook, but I'm going to give you some other ones that you might want to ponder and consider. We will go over a little bit later the agricultural revolution, and what this does is it makes more food available, and usually when there's an increase in the food supply, it leads to larger populations. They're also including in that agricultural revolution from the Columbian Exchange, new foods such as the potato were introduced and became a staple crop for the poor in many of the countries, especially Ireland. And improved food transportation was apparent because, as we'll learn with the Industrial Revolution, the Agricultural Revolution led to countries building better roads, bridges, canals to facilitate the transportation of those products. As a result, a better diet came into play, and people developed stronger immune systems, and they had a better ability to fight diseases. There was a disappearance of the bubonic plague after 1720. Don't need to worry about it as much anymore. Coincidentally, as well, as the scientific revolution waged on and people understood medicine a little bit better, what that led to was improved sanitation in towns and cities. So in other words, we're getting more and more into modern times. So in the 18th century, also wars, as we talked about in Wars and Diplomacy, were less destructive on civilian populations, and populations weren't decimated for that reason and for the fact that it wasn't ideological or based on religion. So again, one of the things I need you to know, even though I said that improved sanitation of the towns and cities were prevalent here and leading to a population explosion, I don't want you to get the wrong impression that medicine was like a cure-all now. We're still talking about gangrene in battles. You know, they just cut your arm off, and then you'd probably die from those infections. That won't really be until the 19th century, late 19th century, early 20th century, where we really start to understand bacteria and sickness. So that is not a huge cause right here. All right. So again, brief, 5 minutes. That's it. Just a little introduction here to the population explosion. Hope that helps.